Well, welcome back to the homestead. Last week we were out here, we started running our drain lines in, and we got about halfway through that before I stopped for the day. And then this week I came out 2 nights and I finished running all of the water lines except for the lines going to our half bathroom. And I'm waiting to run those lines until a pedestal sink comes in. It's a corner pedestal, and I just want to have the sink in place to make sure my lines are coming out to where they're hidden from view as best they can be. So we'll wait to run those lines whenever the sink comes in, and in the meantime we'll get started working on the drain lines today. So before I start doing the drain lines though, the first thing I need to do is restring some work lights. The lighting on my videos has been absolutely horrible inside because I've been trying to use these LED tripods that are floodlights. They're just not working out real well. So I bought a 100-foot string of work lights. I'm going to put those up downstairs, and then the string of work lights I have downstairs now is about 50 feet, and I'm going to move that upstairs where there's more natural light. And hopefully that'll be a good balance, and maybe the lighting on the videos will be a little better. So let's go ahead and get the lights restrung, and then I'll show you what the plumbing looks like, or the water lines look like, and then we'll get started working on the drain lines. Alright, so this is what the manifold system looks like now that all the lines are hooked up except for that little half bathroom. You can see there's a couple of extra ports on it, and those will just get capped off with a blank, and they can be used for future expansion. So you see some of the lines here coming out, going out the side, and then they turn and they go down into the crawl space beside the rooms upstairs here. Then we've got some lines that turn and go straight up. They go into the overhead attic space. And then we've got one line that turns and goes straight down, and that goes all the way out the bottom of the house for the outside faucets. So now let me show you what they look like running through the attic. Alright, so this is the lines running through the attic, and this is my biggest dislike on the system, is they're just not nice and neat. They're reasonable, but you're not going to get them to lay perfectly straight like you would if you were using straight jointed pipe like copper or PVC. Now you can get this PEX pipe in straight links, but it kind of defeats the purpose for me because if you use the straight links, then you have to put a bunch of joints in it, and you have to put couplings in the lines, so each one of those couplings is a point of failure and a restriction to the flow of the water. So rather than do that, I'm putting up with the wavy runs of the coiled PEX pipe. I do think right in here where these come out of the attic, I'm going to put another bar across here just to tack them down and keep them in line. But right here they just turn and they go down into the master bathroom and terminate to the faucets in there. So overall I'm pretty happy with it. It's a pretty easy system. Like I said, the fact that they're not perfectly straight doesn't affect the functionality of it, so it's not that big a deal. But since we're at a hold on running the last few water lines, let's go ahead and take a look at running some of our drain lines in. Alright, so we're getting ready to start the plumbing, and before I do it, I want to make real clear, this is not a how-to video. I'm going to tell you how I'm doing it, and to the best of my knowledge it's the correct way, but I'm not a licensed plumber. So anything you learn in this video, verify it before you try and use it yourself. But that being said, like I said, I think I'm doing it correctly, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing. So the first thing that I did was I tallied up all of the fixture usage units for the entire house. And what that means is every fixture you have in the house that uses water, there's a table where it's assigned a usage unit. So for instance, a sink would be one usage unit. Dishwasher would be 2 usage units. Clothes washer would be 3. A toilet could be 3 or 4, depending on whether you have one of the old toilets with a large tank or a new toilet with a high efficiency tank. So you have to figure all of the usage units up for every fixture in the house and tally them up. And if you get 35 usage units or more, your main trunk line is going to be a 4-inch line. If it's under 35, then you use 3-inch line. So once you know what size line, then you have to kind of decide where is your main line going to run. So let me go ahead and kind of show you where my main line is going to run, and then how each fixture is going to connect into that main line. And depending on how long the branches are that connect into that line from your fixture to the main line, if it's over a certain length, then you have to vent that line. And we'll kind of walk through that process. And once we've kind of walked through the whole layout, then we'll start cutting holes and putting some pipe in. So now that we know the main trunk line is going to be a 3-inch line, and I know that the septic tank is going to be located straight out of that window in the master bathroom that you see, it makes sense for the main trunk line to come straight in the house, straight along parallel this wall, and it'll probably terminate right along in here somewhere. But I'm going to have a T that comes off of that main trunk line and goes into this 6-inch wall, turns and goes up, and that'll catch all of the drains from the upstairs bathroom and eventually turn into a roof vent line. So now that we know where the main line's coming in and where it's kind of going to exit the house for a roof vent, let's take a look at the different fixtures and how they're going to connect into it and see whether they have to be vented or not. All right, so let's start with the master bathroom here. And we're going to have a toilet right here, and the main trunk line for the house is going to run right in through here. So when I put the toilet in, I'm only going to have about 2 to 2.5 feet before it connects into the main trunk line. And with a short run like that, I don't have to have an extra vent for that line. So my toilet flange will mount in there, it'll 90 over and tee into the main line, and that'll be done. So that's pretty simple. All right, so starting here in the master bathroom, we're going to have a toilet mounted right here, and the main trunk line is going to be coming pretty much right under where I'm at. So for a toilet on a branch by itself connecting into the main line, the branch can be non-vented if it's 10 feet or less. This particular branch is only going to be about 3 feet tops, so I won't have to have any venting for this toilet because the main line will serve as a vent for it. So that's going to be a quick, easy install there. All right, so here in the master bathroom, I'm going to have a walk-in shower here and a tub here. The walk-in shower, the drain on it's going to be 2 inches, and a 2-inch drain can run up to 8 feet without having an extra vent added to it. So I don't have to have a vent for the shower, and the tub is going to have 1.5 inch drain, and that can run 5 feet without a vent. So this run is only going to be about 2 feet, and it won't have to be vented either. So nothing in this room is going to have to be vented, and that should make it pretty simple. All right, so this is going to be the master lavatory here, and I've got a little bit of a question about how to run this one. Normally, an individual lavatory is run off an 1.5 inch pipe, but 1.5 inch pipe has to be vented if it's over 5 feet long, and it's about 7 feet from here to my main trunk line. So if I run this out of 2 inch, 2 inch can run up to 8 feet without being vented. So I think what I'm going to do, even though this doesn't need it for the volume of water, I think I'm going to upsize this from 1.5 inch to 2 inch pipe to get around having to run an individual vent for this. Now, I'm not certain if that'll work, so if I've got any licensed plumbers watching this and they can tell me for sure, let me know down in the comments, but I'm not going to run this one until I know for sure whether I can get away with that. If running it out of 2 inch doesn't work, then I'll have to run this with an individual vent on it. So this one is still up in the air for how we're going to do it. All right, so this is the little half bathroom that's under the staircase, and we're going to have a toilet sitting right here, and the main trunk line is just right behind it, so this won't have to be vented. And then I've got a corner sink that goes in right here, and it's the same scenario as the master sink or the master lavatory. It's under 8 feet, and I think if I run that out of 2-inch line that I won't have to vent it, but I'm still researching that. So we're not going to run that in until we know for sure. So let's take a look at the laundry room now. All right, so for our washing machine here, we've got a 2-inch drain on it, and the main trunk line is again right at 8 feet away. But with this being the washing machine, and the washing machine actually pumps water into the drain, I'm going to go ahead and vent this one regardless, because it's at the upper limits of it, and I would just feel better knowing that we had the external vent on this, so that when the washing machine is pumping a high volume of water in there, that we don't have any kind of problems. So we're going to go ahead and vent this one regardless, and we'll just run the pipe up the wall here into the floor joist area, run it across the ceiling, and then tee into the main stack. So downstairs, that just leaves us with the kitchen sink here, and the kitchen sink is going to be a really long run. We're probably looking at 25-30 feet for this drain line. So this is absolutely going to have to be vented, and what we're going to do is we'll run the vent line up through here into this stud bay over here, and then up into the area between the first and second floor. We'll run it over into the crawl space, and then once we're in the crawl space, we can tie into the main stack. So that's the plan for the kitchen sink, is this will have to be vented, and it'll tie into the main stack. All right, so that just leaves us with this upstairs bathroom to take care of, and our main stack is going to be coming up outside of this wall, and it'll be coming all the way up into the attic. So the toilet for this bathroom is going to be located right here, and we're well within the 10 feet that it can run without being vented, so the toilet doesn't have to have anything. The sink here, that's going to be 1.5-inch drain, and that can only go 5 feet without being vented, and we're going to be over the 5 feet to tie into the main stack here. So we'll have to run a vent for this sink, and we'll run that up the wall into the attic, and then we'll tie into the roof vent up in the attic. All right, so last but not least is the tub for the upstairs bathroom. And that's going to get 1.5-inch drain pipe, and we're actually going to run that through the floor space into the wall for the washroom, and then down into the main trunk line under the house. So that's going to be about 20 feet or so, and 1.5-inch drain line you can only, I think, run 5 feet without having a vent. So this is absolutely going to have to be vented. So what we'll do is we'll run the vent line up the wall here into the attic, and then we'll tie into the roof vent. All right, so now that we have an idea of what the system's going to look like, let's go ahead and start cutting the flanges for the toilets in. All right, so for this first toilet, the opening here is 36 inches once the sheetrock's up, and we'll be using 5/8 sheetrock for this. So what I need to do is I need to measure for the center of the opening, and then I need to measure out from the finished wall 12 inches. And that'll be the center of the hole that I need to drill for the toilet flange. So let's go ahead and get it measured. All right, so now I'm ready to go ahead and mount my flange to the floor, but I need to make sure that I've got the slots for the toilet in the correct place. So those bolts will go in here, they'll rotate, and they should be parallel with the wall. It looks like that should do good right there. Alright, so that flange is in place. We're ready to go to the next one. And this toilet's going to sit in a 36-inch opening here. So I need to find the center of my 36 inches after the drywall is up. So I've got to add 5/8. So half of 36 is 18 plus 5/8 is 18 and 5/8. going to need to come out 12 and 5/8. So the center of my hole is going to be right here. And that's going to be a problem because you can see these trusses, when I drill the hole, these two trusses are going to get hit by the hole saw. So I'm going to have a problem getting a little bit of clearance on my trusses for this particular fitting. But they make an offset flange, which is what I'm going to use here. So rather than the pipe coming straight from the center, straight down, it's offset, and you can rotate that wherever you need it. So what we're going to do is we'll drill the hole right there. I'll turn this offset as far over as I can to try and get as much clearance on the trusses, but I'm still going to wind up having to notch these two trusses a little bit to be able to get the connection made. But luckily, I believe that's going to be the only truss notching that we have to do, other than an 1.5 inch hole for the lavatory up here. Other than that, I think all my pipes are going to miss the joist and the trusses. So overall, not too bad. So let's go ahead and get started on this one. All right, so looking down through this hole, you can see the problem. This first truss and a little less than half of the second truss is intruding into this hole. So we're going to have to drill this down just a little bit and notch that out, and then with that offset fixture, hopefully we'll get over out of the truss pretty quick and not weaken it too much. All right, so this is what the final hole is going to look like. The hole here is a little bit oversized for the offset flange to go down in, and then you can see I've had to drill out some of the truss so that I can couple the pipes below the floor level there. So let's go ahead and put the flange in, screw it down, and then we can go downstairs and start setting the sweep on it. So this is the bottom side of that toilet flange that we just cut in, and we're going to have to turn that 90 degrees and run that across over here to this T, and this T is sitting where the main stack is going to run through. So let me go ahead and set a elbow on that flange and show you what it's going to look like. All right, so I've got the 90 temporarily set into that flange, and you can see that's going to turn and run over here and connect into where this main stack's going to come up. So the next thing I really need to do is go ahead and get a hole drilled for the 3-inch pipe that's going to run down this wall to make the main stack. So let's go ahead and start working on drilling those holes. You see right here we've got a 3-inch pipe now started in that wall, and that's the main vertical line. And right on the top of this header they'll sit a T, and that T is going to hook in to that 90, but the T is on the other side of that blocking, so I've got to drill a hole through the blocking before I can connect the two. So as soon as my drill cools down a little bit, we'll get a hole drilled in there, and we'll see if we can't get the T and that toilet connected up together. All right, so my drill finally cooled down a little bit, and I was able to drill a hole through the blocking over here for the pipe to run, and went ahead and connected it up. Now, this is just dry fitted. I'll come back and glue it later, but for right now, I'm just dry fitting everything. All right, so you see the line coming through there, and coming around to the other side of the blocking, and you can see it connects into that T there, and that T is the main vertical stack, and that's going to run all the way down under the house there. So the next thing I think I'm going to work on right now is going to be the laundry box, and then we'll probably call it a day. So let's go ahead and see if we can get that one knocked out real quick. Alright, so on the laundry box, you've got a 2-inch drain built into the box, and you have to run a 2-inch trap up under the laundry box. So you want 24 inches from the bottom of this box down to the middle of your P-trap. So I've already gone ahead and measured a piece of tubing for that, and we'll just go ahead and slide it up in here. And we'll double check. So that's 24 inches to the middle of the trap. Alright, so now I've got to run a line through the bottom of the sill plate here. So I don't want to put it right here. I've got a joint and all there, and I think I would be better off to go ahead and move it to the next bay over here based off of where my floor joist is upstairs. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and take a level. I'll put it in the middle of this fitting. Make sure it's level, and that'll tell me where to mark the center line of the hole through my stud. So let me go ahead and drill this hole, and then we'll cut a piece to go into a T here, and then we'll drill a hole through the bottom plate. Alright, so now that I have the hole through the stud here, what I'm going to do is go ahead and drill a hole through the bottom plate. That'll allow me to run the line down under the house to connect into the main trunk line. And then once that's in place, I can measure for the piece of pipe to go between the P-trap here and the vertical pipe going under the house. So let's go ahead and get that hole drilled. Alright, so that's going to do it for my laundry box, and I'm sure some of you are wondering why I didn't put a T here like I had mentioned earlier today and run the 1.5 inch vent up. And that's because when I did the upstairs toilet, because of the confined space in the floor joist, I wasn't able to drain the sink up there where I wanted to. So the new location for the sink is going to be down through this wall. And that's an 1.5 inch line that's going to tie into the 2-inch lavatory or laundry line here. And that is going to be tied into the main vertical stack for vent up there. So it will also double as a vent for the laundry box. So that's why there's no T with a vertical vent right there. But there will be a vent right in this area from the upstairs lavatory. So. Alright, well I don't know what time it is, but it's getting late, and I think that's going to do it for me today. And doesn't look like a whole lot of progress, but I did get everything laid out. All my fittings are scattered kind of where they need to go. And I've got a good firm plan in my mind now for how I want to run everything. So hopefully actually hooking everything up will be pretty quick and easy. But for today, that's all I'm going to do. Probably try and come out a couple of evenings during the week and do a little bit more. But till then, y'all keep checking back.